Hi guys, how you doing? Steve Buckley PT. So in this video today guys, I want to take you through a full day of eating. It's been a while since I made a video like this talking about what I'm eating in order to achieve my goals. So I'm going to take you through a full day of eating, show you what I'm currently eating to achieve my goals, and explain what my goal is right now. Now, I'm not going to lie, it's been sort of through lockdown, I've not been as strict and as dialed in with my nutrition as I usually am. And having just been on holiday as well, I was really just trying to sort of kick back, relax, enjoy my holiday, and I just haven't really been as strict with my nutrition. I've been pretty much just kind of eating intuitively and eating whatever I felt like at the time. So as a result, I have gained a little bit more excess fat than I would like to have. So my current goal is just to lose a few pounds of fat and just lean out just a little bit, just to show a bit more definition and just feel a bit sort of healthier and lighter on my feet. So I have made a video just showing you what my current physique looks like, and I'll just pop that up just now. So that just gives you guys an idea of kind of where I'm at, what my starting point is. And like, you know, people who've been following me for a while will know that I'm not a fan of bulking and cutting, especially sort of large bulks and large cuts. I really don't think you need to do that. You know, you can build just as much muscle staying in a 200 to 300 calorie surplus as you will do in a 5 to 1,000 calorie surplus. But the difference is you're not going to accumulate all this excess fat, which you'll need to spend a lot of time later on losing, which is time for me that's lost. And it could be spent, you know, continuously either building muscle in that very slight surplus, as opposed to cutting and having to cut for months in order to lose all that excess fat that you've built, or that you've accumulated. So it's really important that you don't take these huge surplus, or don't go into these huge surpluses. Stay very small. It's all you need to do. Maintenance into a 300 calorie surplus is all you need to do. Train properly and you will build just as much muscle in that time. Now, for me, this is probably the first time I've dropped into a calorie deficit in around about 2 years. I've stayed in either maintenance or into a very slight surplus, and I've just continued working hard, continuously in the gym, continuously working on progressive overload, and I feel like I've built just as much muscle, no problem. So, like I say, you don't need to be going into these huge surpluses like some people will preach. They say you need to go into a huge surplus in order to build as much muscle as possible. I'm not a believer in that at all. So, and people who have been following me for a while will know that. So staying in a very slight surplus and just continuously training hard. Now, the reason I'm now having to go into a slight deficit and cut is because, like I say, I wasn't dialed in with my nutrition, and I just feel like I've accumulated a little bit too much excess fat. But like you can see from the video, I'm not extreme. I'm still relatively lean. It's just a very little bit that I'd like to lose. So it just shows you that having stayed in that maintenance to slight surplus, I've not accumulated too much fat. Even having just eaten however I wanted and eaten intuitively, I still haven't gained too much excess fat. And now all I'm going to need to do is just spend a little bit of time, maybe just a few weeks, maybe 4 to 6 weeks, something like that, on losing that little bit of excess fat, and then from there I can go right back into either maintenance or small surplus and continue how I was before. And it's probably going to be a while until I need to go back into a slight deficit again. So I'm going to be keeping this process of losing fat extremely simple, and that's going to be, I'm going to be going back to tracking my calories again and aiming for around about 300 to 400 calorie deficit daily. Simple as that. So I'm not going to be changing my meal timing. I'm not going to really be changing the foods that I'm eating. I'm going to be eating the same foods as I would have done when I was eating in maintenance or into a slight surplus. I'm going to be eating the meals at the same time. The only difference is I'm going to be reducing the amount of those foods, so reducing the calories in each of one of those meals. It's as simple as that, and just aiming to get around about the 300 to 400 calorie deficit daily. And I'm going to be checking my progress using progress photos, or just how I feel I look in the mirror. Just simple as that. And I'm not going to set any deadlines or timelines on when I need to achieve the goal. I'm going to be losing the weight slowly. I'm going to be just aiming for a small deficit, and I'm going to lose the weight as slowly as it takes. I'm not going to be rushing the process. So if I don't feel like I'm maybe losing the weight, or if I need to make small adjustments, I'll simply make small adjustments as I go, reducing the calories by 100 if need be, or increasing my energy output through exercise. It's as simple as that. It doesn't need to be complicated. So the idea here is to keep the process simple by eating the same foods at the same time, because when you've built up such a good routine over the years, then as soon as you start changing that routine, it becomes really difficult to adhere to. So I recommend this to everyone, that if whether you're trying to gain weight or lose weight, create a good routine around your nutrition and just stick to that same routine, but just simply either reduce the calories of that meal or increase the calories depending on your goal. Okay guys, so just getting into my daily meals, I'm going to show you my breakfast now, which I usually have around about 8 or 9 a.m. in the morning, and that's a scrambled egg wrap with a coffee. Very, very simple, very straightforward. I'm going to show you the image now along with the calories and just give you a good idea of what I have first thing in the morning. Now, I'm not going to lie, I usually do have this pretty much every morning because I don't like to think about it when I get up first thing in the morning. I just like to make the same thing, and it just simply for ease. So I usually have this pretty much every morning. The other meals I will change, sort of lunches, dinners and snacks I will change most days, day to day, but this meal I tend to just keep the same because it's nice and easy first thing in the morning. So the second meal here, guys, I'll have around about 1 p.m. and it's lunch, is paella. Now, I am very lucky. I've got a beautiful Spanish wife who's a hell of a cook, and she makes this paella often, which is really good because the whole family can have it, and it's a really good dish because it can be just kept in the fridge and reheated for further meals in the week. So as you can see here, it's got a lot of protein because it's made with the chicken, and it's extremely nutritious, as you can see from the colours. So I'm just going to pop up the image here and show you the calories of this dish as well. Now, after lunch, I usually do like to have something sweet, so I will have usually a coffee or a tea, and I always, pretty much almost every day, I'll have a piece of dark chocolate, around about 20 grams of dark chocolate. It's just something I do have a bit of a sweet tooth, especially after a meal, so I will always have a piece of dark chocolate after, so I'm just going to pop up the calories here for that. Now, the next meal of the day, dinner time, around about sort of 7 p.m. For this particular day, I had rice with mixed veg, I had a sirloin steak and half an avocado. Again, very, very simple, good macro breakdown here, lots of protein, good healthy fats and carbohydrates. And I do try to, when I have my meals, try to get a good balance of healthy fats, carbohydrates and proteins. Now, I have talked in previous videos about the sort of 80-20 approach that I tend to take, and that I do allow some room for the dark chocolate, and I will sometimes have a little bit of maybe ice cream or a glass of wine here and there. So I do allow space for these types of foods, mainly when I'm sort of in a slight surplus or maintenance. It allows for a bit more of that. When I'm trying to lose a little bit of weight or trying to lean out a little bit, then I tend to be a little bit more strict and avoid those types of foods. So as you can see, most of the meals, or the meals I'm having, are good sort of quality, good macro breakdown, good healthy fats, carbohydrates and a good amount of protein. I just find that these types of meals just help me feel satiated throughout the day, keep me feeling full, and just keep the calories down as well. And finally, guys, I suppose you could call it the last meal of the day. It's kind of more of a snack, around about 10 p.m. and it's always, for me, usually the same thing. And it's usually a bowl of Alpen, some kind of muesli, something like that, with almond milk or coconut milk and whey protein. And I'll usually just have this sort of quite late at night because I do tend to get quite hungry by having dinner at 7 p.m. So popping up the image of that now, along with the calorie breakdown. So that's it, guys. That's my day of eating on this particular day. Now, every day, let's say, is very slightly different. It'll give you a good idea of roughly what I'm eating day to day, but I do change up my foods, and I'll not always eat steak. I'll sometimes have fish instead of steak. I usually have red meat around about sort of two times a week, something like that. I do eat quite a lot of fish as well, which I didn't show in this full day of eating, but I'll eat fish maybe 3 or 4 times a week. So, my meals will change throughout the week, but it gives you a good idea of sort of how I structure, what times I eat, and roughly kind of what types of foods I'm eating. Now, a 300 calorie deficit for me is 2,600 calories. That's kind of what I'm roughly trying to aim for each day, but if I go slightly over, slightly under, it doesn't matter. It's not an exact science. So I'm going to show you that here today. I'm sure that here now what I actually achieved for this day, and also show you the macro breakdown, just to get you a good idea of what the macros were for this particular day. And again, this will change slightly. Sometimes I have a little bit more protein, sometimes I have a little bit less. Today it was around about 170 grams. Now I usually like to be between 170 to 200 grams. I'll kind of get into that sort of window again. I'm never exact, it doesn't have to be exact. Healthy fats around about 100, and then around about sort of 250 to 300 grams of carbohydrates. So I'm not trying to get, there's not exact numbers here, I'm just sort of trying to get to a rough window of numbers and be consistent with it, and that's what's going to give me the results over time. So one last note, guys, when it comes to nutrition, it's really important that whatever you do, you find a nutrition plan or you create a nutrition plan that works well for you. There's no point in trying to copy somebody else's nutrition plan just because it works well for them. You've got to create a plan or eat in the way that works well for you. There's no exact time when you need to eat your meals. There's no exact foods that you need to eat in order to get results. Eat the foods that you enjoy eating and eat them at the times that suit you, because if your meal plan is enjoyable and you enjoy the foods that you're eating, you're going to be much more likely to adhere to it over time, which is then going to give you the results that you're looking for. I hope you found the video helpful, guys. If you did, please don't forget to leave a thumbs up. If you have any questions about anything I've said in the video today, or if you need any help with anything at all, please feel free to drop them down in the comment section down below. I answer all questions. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'll speak to you again soon. Cheers, guys.